Good evening and welcome to the November 7th Historic Preservation Commission meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. And Christy, could you read do the roll call, please?
Yes. George Piper.
Here.
Casey Sampson.
Present.
Linda Ridgway. Present. Scott Sewell.
All right, we seem to have a quorum to conduct business. Next item on the agenda we need to do is approve the minutes from our last meeting back in June. And with it, I would seek a motion.
So moved?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And no old business, so we'll move right into new business. And we have a certificate of appropriateness from the Lebanon Property Group LLC. And Derek, could you give us a report as well?
I'll give you a brief explanation of the application here. This property is located at 125 Northwest Street. It's at the southeast corner of Washington and Northwest Street. If you've been here long enough, you remember it as the frame shop. That's how I refer to it as. There was a frame shop that operated there once upon a time. I'm sure people have been here longer than that recognize it as something else, but that's what I remember it as. So the property is zoned central business and has not been before the HPC. The building does have a contributing classification, which is a building less than 50 years old and which is compatible with its historic surroundings, or a building which is over 40 years old and whose historic character remains, but does not rise to the level of notable or outstanding. This building is of the latter, the over 40 years old, but does not rise to the notable or outstanding level. This building is included in the National Register of Historic Places, Lebanon Courthouse Square Historic District. Tonight, the applicant is applying to enclose the portico and install windows that match existing fenestration of existing building. Remove door north. There's a pass-through door north of the overhead door and replace with a window. Again, matching the existing window adjacent to the doorway currently. And replace the current overhead door with a folding carriage style door. The applicant has provided elevations, which I will show you, existing and proposed. He's done a very good job. The applicant is pretty tech savvy. The business going in there is a tech related business, so he was able to provide some great photos. So here is the current state of the building, and the portico there that he's talking about in enclosing is on the right of the screen. You can see the dumpster behind it. So that is current, and that's what he's proposing it gets changed to. You know, without seeing the current view, and if you were to see this, you would probably think that's the way it was constructed, which I think is a great change. So you can see he's keeping, as he said, the same window style all the way across, with the transom window above and a picture window below. Here's a couple other views. This is current, and that will be the proposed.
Are they doing the shrubbery there as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. There is some conversation the applicants had with us about kind of changing the configuration of the parking lot as well, which will include probably some more landscaping and possibly closing off the curb cut onto Washington Street. But that's a conversation you have to have with the city engineer and redoing some of the right-of-way features. Here it is, the building showing the existing. You can see the dumpster was in the way. They were cleaning things out, but the overhead door there, and then you can see the pass-through door that he's would like to change to a window. So that would be the look that you get. The accordion-style door and the window in replacement of the pass-through door. And you can see there was some sort of an addition. That's why the block is different than the brick. He's not proposing to change any of that. One kind of unique aspect of this is there, you can see inside the portico right there, is some brick. That brick will be demoed because that space will be opened up into an office. And he's going to repurpose that brick to do any of the infill that you see there around the new windows. So all the brick is going to be repurposed from the building and will match from the existing to the proposed. So those are the kind of the elevation shots. Let me go back to the report, make sure I'm not missing anything. All the wood trim features of the building are going to be repainted to match the existing color, so he's not changing any of the color schemes. Staff's opinion is proposed work is respectful to the architectural elements of the building and will not have a significant impact on the historical character of the building or the district. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the application for certificate of appropriateness.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Any questions from the board? From Derek? Okay, hearing none, I would seek a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved?
Motion, second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
And Derek, I guess you'll be doing the second one as well?
Yep, one more. And I do apologize, the applicant wasn't here tonight. We had a meeting scheduled for October and it was canceled. He was scheduled to be here for that. Mr. Schomburg does do quite a bit of traveling related to his business, so he probably had something going on tonight. But if there's any questions that you have, filter them through me and I can get them answered for you. So tonight, the second application is 223 South Lebanon Street. This building has been before the Historic District before for some painting, a painting COA, and I believe a window COA. So this is a after-the-fact application. The applicant got a little ahead of himself and got kind of confused on what approvals he had and what he didn't. So I told him to apply, and we would talk about it tonight and move forward appropriately if it's approved. He has agreed to finish the project. If it happens to be denied tonight, we will work through that as well. So it's a non-contributing building. I'm not going to go over necessarily what that means. You all know what that is. It's 223 South Lebanon Street. The certificate of appropriateness tonight is to install accent tile on the first floor street-facing building corners. I have some pictures that I can show you of what that looks like. Pictures? Perfect. So the applicant apparently travels to Italy and has seen this type of application done on historic buildings in that region of the world. So it's an tile accent on the corner of the building. It closely matches the existing color that he changed it to. Some people driving past probably wouldn't even notice that it was there. It's subjective, I suppose, on whether or not one would like it. As I mentioned, the building is non-contributing. I don't know that this treatment, in my opinion, deters from the historic value of the building. This building has been manipulated over the years heavily. To increase its historic value, it would have to go through a complete building and facade renovation, probably in the multi-million-dollar range. That was the north corner. Here's the view from the front. As I mentioned, it's kind of hidden in the shadows right now, but that's what you see when you're driving by. The applicant has certainly improved the building. There's no doubt about it. He has invested money into this building. It's been under unsafe building orders from our office several times in the past. He inherited some of those unsafe building orders, and he has complied with them always. So the building has gone through some improvements. This was just an addition that he felt like we talked about already, and we certainly did, staff and the applicant. But he got confused on the need for a COA, so that's why it's coming after the fact.
Do you know, does he have any other future facade plans for that building? Because you said you've talked about some things with the building.
Yep, this is kind of, again, cart before the horse, but part of this is a complete storefront renovation is what he's going to go for. So he wants this to be the accent, and he would like to take let me go back to the pictures here real quick, so you can see what I'm talking about. Everything below the header beam there is been filled in. It was originally more of a storefront look. He wants to replicate that look sometime in the future. He wants to actually change the front apartments into store space, retail space. So he will demo the doors and the two windows and put more of a traditional glass storefront in between those accent columns below the header. But that's not part of this application tonight. And he certainly, at this point, is aware that before that happens, it will have to come back to the HPC.
Kind of in that same vein, one thing I'd be concerned about is, and obviously, we can't predict the future, but I don't know if those tiles in that style would be appropriate for a storefront for this building. And so I don't know, he may want to know that those tiles just may not be appropriate. I don't know how that conversation can be bridged. That would be my only concern. Obviously, we're here now to approve this.
I agree. So I think there's some risk there moving forward with any other storefront applications that come before you. The applicant certainly understands that there's some possibility tonight that it doesn't get approved. It is, I don't want to say it's approve or nothing, but the damage is, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better term, is it's already installed. It's installed with thin set mastic, so to remove it is going to certainly, at this point, going to require some repair of the brick as well. If you get into a storefront renovation, it's probably easier to cross that bridge, have those conversations. If you're going to do the storefront renovation, remove the tile and repair the brick at this point, or at that point. But to take it down now is going to cause a significant amount of work. It's part of the risk that or misunderstanding that's in front of you tonight, but it would be difficult to remove without damaging some of the brick at this point.
Linda, do you have any questions?
How can we put a motion forward? We have to basically approve this, but we don't? I mean, how do you word that? And changing it when he does the storefront, that's going to be bad also. Maybe he can pull that into the storefront and help pull it all together later. I don't know how we can tell him he has to take it down now, but after the fact, we disapprove, but we'll approve the COA. I can't agree, but there's a lot of issues with the building itself. And if you do everything else that's discussed with that block, it's never gonna fit as far as aesthetically with historic venue anyway.
In my report, I don't know that. It's a matter of probably taste is the question at hand.
It's his taste.
If you look at it from a historical value,
Right.
as I said in my report, I don't believe it hurts the historical value of this building. I think the historical value has long been lost. And it would take a significant effort to get it back to a point where it is historically significant in our district.
Yeah, and in reality, he has greatly improved it.
Yeah, it has, again, I agree, Linda, and I put that in my report. I'm not trying to sell anything to you on behalf of the applicant, but he has improved the structure. But it's just been not in necessarily a historical approach.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, sided a little bit with Linda. It's not probably not what I would have done, I guess, or, what most people would have done, but at the same time, it's I think, the nature of the building, like you said, the ship has kind of sailed on the historic nature of it. I mean, if this were on the square, I think it'd be a different story because we have, because of the shape that the buildings are in there, but, I mean, I certainly don't want to get into a habit of saying, approving things after the fact, but I think in this case, I think we're probably on good ground on this one, and, hopefully he'll come up with some nice additions for that storefront down the road.
In other words, I think what we're saying is the storefront could help this situation if appropriately tied together. Instead of having him take it down, which is money.
Right.
He could maybe tie that look in with the tile that he's used. I guess it's tile.
It is.
It's definitely an improvement, so I make
Yeah.
a motion that we approve the COA, retroactively approve the COA, with a sense of, never mind, we approve the COA.
Okay.
Okay, a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second?
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
With that, is there any other items to come before the board? Anybody knows?
No.
Okay, with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Sorry, I have
Sorry.
one more thing.
Oh.
Sorry.
Too quick.
I was looking at the calendar today, just because of the holidays, and, 'tis the season, it seems like. November hits, and you get all kinds of weird things in there, Election Day, Veterans Day, not weird, but, all kinds of different dates on the calendar that are considered holidays. And we will have a December meeting. I have the application. I will be going through and creating a staff report for that, and have it to you. Probably Tuesday, the 26th, or Tuesday or Wednesday, 26th or 27th, since Thursday, the week, which would be a week prior to the December meeting, is Thanksgiving. We will have a December 5th meeting, but I was looking at the January calendar, and January 2nd, offices, I will be out of the office. So I propose that we move the January, I know we haven't even talked about the 2020 schedule for meetings yet, but I propose we move the January meeting to the 9th. And the reason I want to talk about that tonight is because I will have a deadline for anybody who's coming to the January meeting, which will be the 1st of December. So if we can go ahead and make a motion to have the 2020 January meeting, January 9th, I think that will help the flow of submittals and reports and the meeting ultimately in January.
Okay, with that, I'd make a motion to have the first meeting of 2020 on January 9th at 6 PM, same location.
So moved?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
You did a second.
That's okay. Thank you for joining us.